Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Decisions Lunch and Learn. I'm going to be your host on this September the 3rd. It's Gregory Goldson from the training team. And let's walk you through the stuff on the side first before we hop into our environment. So first of all, check out our Decisions Training YouTube channel. Highly recommend taking a look there for new videos that get uploaded. We have a new one that's covering how to use the Flex Form layout that came out recently, as well as a whole bunch of other useful ones, such as working with Excel files, as and file data storage and a whole bunch of different other stuff that I'd highly recommend taking a look into if you're trying to build more efficient processes and decisions. Also, that's the same place we put our previous lunch and learns. So if you're trying to remember how a question was answered previous day or two, highly recommend taking a look there. Below that, we have the Decision Solutions Marketplace. This is where you can bring in different accelerator projects into your own environment to build off of, to test, to pull parts from, or to use directly into your environment with proper testing, of course. And then from there, you can just work off of that. These are free to download. You don't need any sort of like subscription or anything like that. Like as long as you're using Decisions, you can use these. And we've got a lot of cool stuff in there, such as the AI Fuzzy Finder, there's a loan origination app, and much, much more. And then below that, we have our Decisions product roadmap review. You can sign up for that at decisions.com/events. And what that is a series of meetings that lets you see some of the stuff coming down the pipeline for the product. So if you're curious about what's coming up in some newer versions or want to provide some input or some feedback into those new features, highly recommend signing up there at decisions.com/events. So with that all being said, it's time to start addressing y'all's questions. I'm going to swap over to my other screen real quick and I'll check the Q&A. All right. And we want decisions right here. Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm pulling up my participants list and I'm pulling up the Q&A right now. I am not seeing anything yet in either of them. So I will start going through some stuff that is currently in the decisions environment, some cool stuff that you can work with. First of all, flexible layout. That's one that I was just mentioning before. It's a very dynamic layout. I'm sure most of y'all have heard this already. But what it allows you to do is to be able to rearrange form controls dynamically based upon whatever content is being displayed in the form controls with visibility rules, as well as screen resolution. That is what's going to affect that form size in the first place. So if I were to run something like this, I've got first name, middle initial, last name, different preferred name. Kind of a mess right now, admittedly. But when you drag this out, you can see these controls rearrange in real time to accommodate that particular layout. I guess before I go more into this, I see we do have a Q&A question. I have a question, but it's too complex to write, LOL. All right, I'm going to let you talk then. There you go. Hopefully more eloquence can be added in this way. What you got?
How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Appreciate the ask. It's been a pretty
Okay.
good day so far. How about yourself?
I'm okay. I've been working for the past couple of days on a login script that runs every time someone logs in.
Okay.
I got most of it figured out. I just have a concept question.
Mhm.
The login script, first thing it does is determine if you're in production or if you're in test.
Okay.
And then basically, the goal of this login script is to put you in the proper groups that you belong in. And in order to determine where you belong, I'm pulling a local SQL table, grabbing some kind of a work group code, and then running through a string match that says, okay, if you're in this group, we're going to give you this group. If you're in this work group, the outside entity work group, if you will, we'll give you the
Okay.
decisions work group called such. And all that works fine in test. I got it work. Then I'm still in test, but I wanted to check out the production side of the loop. So I just forced myself to go to the production side of the flow. And it works fine, except it appears to work fine, but except that it it doesn't add me to the proper group. So my question is, in the login flow, is it possible to set parameters to add groups to both test environments and live environments? And I think the answer is yes, because if you go to your test environment and you find the group and you get the group ID and you put that in there, and then you go to the live environment, you do the same thing and you get the group ID and it's different and you put that in there. One flow, depending on which way it goes, should be able to add you to the proper group in the proper project, if you will, I guess.
Mhm.
Does that make sense to you? Or is that
I believe so. I have a quick question on this. Are you using one of these two, your
um
login flows?
no, no, I'm using the SAML settings
Oh, all
login.
right. OAuth. You've got OAuth set up. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So you got OAuth set up. You've got your
Well,
login
it's
flow
actually it's not OAuth, but it's yep, that's the area though.
right there. All
Yeah.
right. And this is functioning just fine in your test, but not in production where it's not adding them to the group, correct?
Yeah, and look, if you debug it and you run it around the circle, you can see that it's doing it and says it's done and it's got the right numbers and everything is fine, except it's just not adding. And I didn't know if if I'm in test and running this, it would always go to the test side because I'm in test, right? And that works fine. And I
Right.
said, well, I would love to be able to copy this entire thing out and put it into production because I don't want to do all this work again, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so in order to test it, I was changing my direction. In other words, if I'm in test, it goes left. If I'm in production, it goes right. Well, I'm in
Okay.
test, so it's going to go left. So I just disconnected the left and I put it to the right, right? So it's forcing it down to the flow. It's the same flow, it's just a different section. So it
Mm-hmm.
forces it down to another section, and that section looks like it runs fine, except I'm not getting the output that I'm expecting, which would be the username inside of a group.
Okay. I've got a few questions for you further from that then. All right. So you're probably using integration internal services and you're using like a group service to
Yep,
add the account,
yep,
right?
yep.
Okay. So my first question is, do the groups have the same group ID in both environments?
Okay. So I have a listing of group IDs, and I would say that they do.
Okay. The next one is that, let's see, add group, not add new group.
How did that
Maybe it's
happen, by
account
the way?
settings. How did
Like,
what happen?
how do they have the same IDs with two different?
If you pushed it up through a project, it probably would get pushed up from one to another. That
Oh,
is kind of strange that they have the same IDs in both environments. That is a bit interesting.
well, I did do an export out of one and an import into test. So that's probably how it happened.
Okay. But you would have, did you create the group from scratch in each one?
I I did not. It
Okay.
came over. There were original groups in the test project. I eventually
Mm-hmm.
deleted those and I realized that when I exported from production and brought it into test, because I had to work on this login flow and I couldn't do it on production because people are actually using it. So I'm doing it in test. So in order to get the latest and the greatest, I exported the test project out and then I imported it into test. I exported the production out and imported it into test. And when I did that, I had the original groups that I had in there and I had the three new ones from the import. So I got rid of the couple of them that I didn't need and I started using the ones that I was familiar with in production. Happens to be the same exact um,
Hmm.
IDs, group IDs. I don't know if that's a problem.
It may not be. I'm just trying to maybe security wise. So no, it shouldn't be a problem. But you're using something like this. You got the account here, current user. Um, one thing I am wondering, are you using this step right here?
Yes.
Okay. That'd be for context type, current user. Guess the email address for them. then it's just a string match that's determining. This is feeling like a support ticket so that someone can go in your environment and set it up, but
I did put that out there, but I saw nobody was here today. I figured I'd ask the question, but
yeah,
I
absolutely.
could wait if you need to do
No,
something else.
you're good. You're good. I just want to check here. You've got your possible matches for whether it's production. If you've confirmed it's going down the prod path and it's actually running into this step, but it is not adding the account to the appropriate groups.
Right.
And that account ID, I'm assuming that's coming in from the login portion here for your Data Explorer. Well, actually, if it creates an account, that should put out an account ID that can get passed into here.
That create SAML account step that you're referencing
Yes.
is not in my login flow. It's in my, if you don't have an account flow. There's one right below that. If users not found, right?
You have run flow. This is what you're doing.
That's
right?
the one that I'm doing.
This
yeah.
is the one. Whoops. Okay, I was in the wrong one. All right. So you've got something in here that's going to fetch the account that's coming in, and it's going to put them in the correct group, right? That's the plan. You're going to add them to a group. So you should have a user account that comes in. Let's go into our toolbox again. Account, service, add account to groups. Count ID, group IDs, that's going to be a list. So you have a split string step that will determine what those constant IDs are that they get added to, right?
Yep.
And then we have the account that should come from flow data. That should be just confirming user account, count ID, pass that in. And your group IDs would get run over here. So let me check some of this behavior. Run flow for each login. Sam will log into and it works on the other. Why would it not work here? I do wonder if that context type system. I have another question for you. Your account on Dev, I'm assuming, has admin privileges, correct?
Good question. The account that I'm logged in as has admin permissions for everything.
Okay.
The account that I'm debugging with doesn't.
The account you're debugging with doesn't. And that goes for both test and prod, correct?
Yes. I removed myself. There's a UPN email address that works with the SSO, right? So I removed that account. I didn't remove the account. I removed that account from the groups in live. So I am not in any group in live. When I run this routine, I clearly see it's writing to the correct folders, saying it's done. Yet there's no person that I'm testing with in those groups. There's other people in those groups, but trying to add, when I debug, I choose a user. And then when I choose a user, that user is supposed to end up in the group. Well, it works fine for test. And I copied the exact same code, or I thought I did. And then it appears that it runs. It runs exactly the same amount of times. Everything is fine. It even says it did it. It shows me the account ID and the user and the group ID. And it says done. I think at that point it's done. I'm not sure why it wouldn't show up. I refreshed the list too. So it's not a refresh issue.
Another question with this. Is this a project group or is this a system group?
This is a project group.
Project group. Okay.
And there are two different projects.
Are you trying to add a user to a project, a group in a different project from one
Yes,
project? And it
yes,
works in test, but not in dev. I mean, in prod.
right, right, right. Because this one common login flow is going to be used for all projects. Because see, that's that was always the biggest problem I have with this software is that you're coming in, you don't have an account, you need to be put in a group, but there's nothing being passed in to tell me what group that you need to be in. So that's why I use the login flow and I pull something in locally on my database using a raw SQL step. I get my information. Now I know who you are, and now I know what group you're supposed to be in. And then I set those groups accordingly. And yes, in test, while I'm working in a project, the same login script runs regardless of what project I'm in, right?
Right.
So um, is it the problem because I'm in one project, I'm trying to set a group in some other project?
Don't. Well, you'd have the
Because
same
it
problem in test.
no,
If that's
it
that's
works
the
perfect
thing.
in test.
That's what I'm saying is like if you couldn't do that, you couldn't do it in your test environment either,
Right,
which is not what's
right,
going on here.
correct.
Yeah. So my next question is, does your SQL query in production have access to the same database? Are you getting information back from it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, the first SQL query runs in test, shows me all my information. When I drop that line and I force myself to live in that login script, the
Mm-hmm.
same SQL query runs and gives me the exact same data that I need. And it goes around the loop, because there's multiple, you could have multiple groups, right? When you pull your database, your
Right.
local database, and you come back with a bunch of groups, you could have more than one. So I write a loop and it goes around and it says it shows it in the debug that it's adding it. It even says done. It's got the right numbers, it's the right account.
Mm-hmm. You're saying it says done, you mean it's hitting this step?
When you debug and you get to this part over here, add account to group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right there. That
It says
guy
done.
says it's done.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, the more I'm looking into this, the more I'm thinking it's a support ticket to see what's going on. But let me just try something. So this is, where's my account ID? There it is. So I'm going to save that, save that, save that. And then I'm going to give permissions. Oh, he already has permission. That's perfect. What permissions do you have? So now if you're not in the admin group, can you run this? Hold on. What's the name of that account? Just make sure I have it correct. Okay. Oh, I'm not a designer. Okay, never mind. Yeah, let me. I think the more I'm hearing about this is just going to be a support ticket. I'm pretty sure, but that what you have set up, I can't think of anything that's wrong with it. The only thing I'm wondering, well, no, that wouldn't make any sense because it's running from that account. The user context. I don't know if the user context on that particular step matters that you're using over here. This where'd it go? User context basically says with which permissions are we running this particular step. So if you have it set to current user, you're running it with that particular user's permissions to execute this step. However,
Ah.
because this is a login flow, that may not be relevant. It may be the system executing it regardless.
But we
Right.
could probably change that
You can
to
change
system.
it to system, which means that this would run in the system context. I don't know. I don't think that would break anything to my knowledge. I would definitely have support take a look at that just because I don't want you to like break your prod environment, without
Mhm.
checking, make sure it's not anything else first.
But the concept of forcing yourself into two different loops, like if I got one path to work, which was the test, and it works exactly the way I want, I create the second, not the second flow, but the second section of the flow, and I redirect my output, which I'm in test, but I'm forcing myself to go to all the steps that have production group IDs, right? There shouldn't be a problem to do that. I mean, eventually I'm going to take this whole flow and throw it into production. And then if they're equivalent to each other, whether I'm in test or whether I'm in production, it should go right or go left and do what it's supposed to do.
As long
Now,
as you're two things. One, as long as you're calling the same database with the same parameters, and number two, the account IDs that you're bringing in, ensuring that those account IDs are identical.
right.
I don't think the account IDs would be. The group IDs I could see, but the account IDs shouldn't be the same. The accounts are system only. They shouldn't be related to the project, right?
Okay. I saw you did one thing. You checked the users list and you got the account ID. It's very
Yes.
possible that it's showing up, but I'm expecting it to be one name, but it's showing up, yeah, get account ID. So that number right there should be the exact same number. When you add it to the group, you should see account ID, which is that number, and you should see the group ID, which is the get group ID, right click on the group
That's
to get the
exactly
ID.
right. Yes.
Okay, so those numbers, if they're the same, not the same, but if they're correct, then it
Right.
should add. But if it's not, so what happens if I find it's got some weird account ID and it's adding somebody that I'm not even, how do I search? I guess I could figure out what
Let's
the
see. I'm
wrong,
pretty sure account IDs are portal searchable. Yep.
yes. Okay, so you
Just like
just go up
that.
to the top.
Just
Yep,
go up, copy it, search.
gotcha. All right, let me give that a shot. I'll wait for the support to come through. I really appreciate your help, being that
Of
no one's
course.
here, and they've want to get back to whatever it is that you were doing.
You
Take it
got
from
it.
there.
Well, I've actually got a few more questions, so I'm going to address those first. The next
All
question
right.
we've got is from Megan, which says, "Hello, I was wondering how to use the advanced data grid. I want to be able to select an item from my data grid, and all of the details could be displayed on fields in the form. I've tried using the active form flow to achieve this, but have not been successful. Hello, I will unmute you, Megan. You can absolutely do this, and I'll show you exactly how. So first, I think we have a form in here that already has an advanced data grid, but let me just check. That's not it. By the way, you should be able to talk now if you had any questions. So we're just
Oh,
going to edit form one.
sounds good. Hi, Greg.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay today. All right, let's bring over the advanced data grid over here. And what you want to do is when a user selects the advanced data grid, you want certain details or maybe all the details from that particular row to get populated in other parts of the form, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to use the account type because I just find it very easy to work with. I'm going to do single select. That way you can select one. If info only is enabled, you won't have the option to change this data upon selection. So I'm going to use single select for this one. The type is going to be whatever your type you're trying to display is. I'm going to do account for this demonstration. And I'm going to call this my accounts. Output data name will be selected account. And then down here, we will configure the report. So have you done the report configuration part already?
Yeah, I've done this part.
Okay. Then I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking through it. I'm just going to start adding some fields. Created by, created on date, and I like user type as well. Okay, let's save those. So what is it? Email, created by, created on date, user type. Okay. And now let's add some stuff over here. Email. Created by created on date. And then last one, user type. Okay, so now we have all those set up. Let's go to our active form flows. We're going to create one over here that is going to populate data. And we have to trigger it every time the advanced data grid selection is changed. So every time someone clicks on something different, we want to run this flow to populate it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to hit done on that, and now we're going to go and edit it. And here's what we're going to do. The first thing is we are going to get a control value. All right, where did that go? So we're going to pick our, where to go, advanced data grid. I'm going to select that, and there should be two things, my accounts and selected account. So you're going to have a selected account and then a my account section, right? And now let's just set some control values. We don't need all four, by the way. You could just kind of set them with a create data step. I'll show you, this is kind of a little bit of a cheat for it. So let's call this email created by, created on date. And then this will be their user type. All right, and I'm going to set this to ignore or null for now. And then the way that we do this is these inputs are going to come from our control value. And then instead of rename, we're going to use change value on each of these. So for created by, we'll get our selected account. Where'd it go? Created by, done. Same thing on these, right? So create on date, we'll get our selected account. Create on date, email, selected account, email address, and then the last one, user type. All the way at the bottom here. What was at the bottom? There it is. Okay. And then for these, I'm going to do change value. I just like doing this instead of using 4 set control values in a row. So created by, here's our created by text box, and I'm going to set that created by value. Same thing with create on date. Let's change the value of the created on date picker, create on date value, and we'll do this for the other two as well. You can use set control value. It will function that way. This is not required to do this way. I just find it more efficient.
Got it.
And then let's set the user type. User type value. Okay, so let's save this. That runs every time we want it to. Hit OK, save, and now I just need to use form 1 inside of a flow so I can pass in some information. Run ADV. Advanced. Yeah, ADG. That's what it is. ADV, not advanced. All right, anyways. This will function. Drag that over. Those don't need to be set beforehand. Let's debug. Oh, I'm dumb. I need to set a fetch entity so we actually have our counts. Otherwise, we won't have any results to pass in. So need to select your data type, fetch criteria if you want specific results to show up, and then you pass those into here. It doesn't know what to get unless you pass it into the advanced data grid. Wrong one. And now let's debug this. There we go. And now if I click on one of these, you're going to see all those change.
Okay. Could you review the get control value step again? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And by the way, even that step is not required over here, but let me show you what it's doing. The get control value is taking the advanced data grid control and it's spitting out two pieces of data. The selected account, so that is which one the user clicked on, and the my account, which is going to be a list of all of those objects inside of your advanced data grid. Now, something to note about this is that this doesn't show selected and the other one if you have it set to info only. It only shows the list in info only. So right here, this grid mode, if it's info only, I won't have an option to get the selected data.
Also, when I was trying to do this before, whenever I had it at single select, it like would only show one row. And I guess I should have mentioned this before, but I have this set up a little differently. So instead of doing the fetch entities, I'm like adding stuff to the data grid with a sub dialog flow.
You're adding stuff for the data grid with a sub dialog flow. Okay. Um, that shouldn't change how this functions. So if we have a sub dialog option, let me ask you real quick, how are you adding stuff with the sub dialog?
I'm basically you click the sub dialog button and then the sub dialog will open, and then I have all of the fields that I'm wanting to show on the form once it's selected from the data grid. The user will put everything in and then it gets saved to like as a list, as a new item to the type.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, let's do that real quick. So in this one, we would show a where's my show form? All right, that must have gone. That's fine. Okay. So show form right here, that's going to display to the user. They put in the stuff and then it gets added to that data type, right?
Yeah.
All right. Is there any sort of refresh occurring? So when you click to add it, it does add it, right? To the, you can see that update occurring.
Yeah, it adds to the data grid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do a set control value real quick with this. I'm actually going to use a get control value and a set control value. Wrong one. Okay, so we wanted to add account, email, right? Stuff that we would get to add into this. So let's go account, email, user type. Okay. I'm just going to go account, email, user type, and we'll get created by from the current context and stuff like that. So add account, email, that doesn't need to be passed in, it doesn't need to be passed in. We're going to use get control value so that I can fetch the form data, advanced data grid, and get a list of all of my accounts. Oh, I should probably just pick the advanced data grid and it'll spit that out for me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to set the control value and I'm going to kind of build a list with this. So what I'm going to do is I will first actually pick the control value. Let's do that. Pass it in. Selected account, we don't care. For my accounts, I'm going to join arrays and I'm going to add 2 of them. All right. So the first one is going to be all of the accounts that I selected from my accounts from here. And then the second item, we are going to build array and we're going to build data on this new one over here. And we're going to add our email property and our user type. And at the top, the created on date and created by. Created by will come from flow data. And this will be the initiating email. Created on date is going to be the current date time. Email address will come from our output here. And the same thing with user type, come from our output here. Is user type a account type? Oh, that's fun. Maybe I shouldn't have picked that one. I didn't realize that wasn't a string. I'm just gonna ignore that for now. Anyway, that's to do with the data structure, not with this. Okay, so let's say you set this up and then you're adding it to the advanced data grid. It should still function even with that. So let's try this. And then my machine, yeah, it gets added as machine, I guess, if I just said to ignore. So it gets added there. I can still click on these and it'll get updated.
Hmm.
Is that more like the setup you have?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you trying to add the active form flow inside of the stub dialog button?
No, this is like just on my like the main form.
Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
Are you in a different version of Decisions, perhaps?
I'm on version 8.
Which version of 8, if I might
Uh,
ask?
8.22.
Oh, that can do that. Yeah, that can do this. That shouldn't be affected. Okay. Interesting.
But I
So
haven't tried using get control value, like that stuff. So maybe that's worth a try. I think I was using like a create data step before the set control value.
you
Um,
can do that. You can absolutely
mhm.
use create data to do the exact same thing. I just did it for a little bit ease of seeing what's going on, but you can use a create data step, pass in that, and then um, alter the outputs of whatever is going to be displayed to the user. Another thing you can do, let me show you this real quick. When you're running your flow, because it's kind of tough to debug active form flows individually because of all the context that's required, you can go down here to your tools and click on Show Global Debugger and turn that on. So whenever you actually run your flow that's going to do this, I think I called it flow 1. No, what do we call it? Run form. I think we called it run form. Nope. Lovely. What do we call this? Flow test? No.
Was it run ADV?
It is run ADV. Thank you.
Mm?
Okay, so if I click run ADV real quick, all the stuff is going to show up here so I can test and debug this in real time and see what gets run. The reason I'm suggesting this is because it can be kind of difficult to again debug a active form flow and see if it's functioning correctly without running the whole process. So in this way, you can do that, or you could just debug the flow itself. That's another thing you could do.
Got it. Um, how do you happen to know why? Like, because I have tried using the single select for the grid mode, but like anytime I would add more using the sub dialog, it like the previous one would go away.
Oh, that's the all right. Yes, yes, yes. I can absolutely show you what's going on with that. Yes, that let me stop running this. By the way, don't recommend running this in production unless absolutely necessary. It will slow down your environment because it captures every running flow.
Got it.
Yep. So let's go into run ADV again real quick. I'll show you exactly why it's replacing it. So let me make sure I understand. What were you doing before to put it in? Were you using set control value or create data step?
For the sub dialog,
Mm-hmm.
it was just adding, when I would save it, it would just add as a new item.
which step would do that?
It's the add item to list step.
Add item to list. Okay. So you're adding items to a list of inputs. So hold on. You're taking an original list right here that's coming from form data, advanced data grid, and then all of your stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you're putting in a new item.
Yeah, and I was doing build data and then like mapping all of the fields in.
Okay, so you mapped in all the fields from here to here, and then
Mhm.
you passed out new list, and then you'd either use a create data or set control for the new list, correct?
I just did I think I renamed it and then I took the arrow straight to the change data end output. Like I didn't have I had the get control value and set control value in my active form flow.
Hmm. Okay. And then you changed the value of the advanced data grid here.
Yeah, I just renamed it back to um I think what I had named my yeah,
Okay,
use that.
that should work too. And then that's changing the value of advanced data grid for that, and then let's try this. Fun. Okay. Didn't like that. Why is it not liking that? Oh, because I didn't pass in the build properties, that's why. But if I were to add another one, you're saying it's replacing the other one, right?
Yeah, if I
Interesting.
were to do single select. So I set it to multiple selects and that one works how I want it to work. Um, yeah.
Interesting. Did you happen to, this is my only other thought, if it's changing one at a time, I could be wrong about this. I just want to make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's on this. Are you selecting the source or are you selecting the particular selection that you're updating?
Let me double check. This is for the like the source
Hmm.
for and this is for the add to list step, right?
Yep, add item to list step. Yep. Okay, so you've got that set up. That's fine. Add item to list absolutely works, by the way. Yeah, it should be accomplishable through the method that you had before. Why is it not like this? Let me save this. Yeah, there we go. Hmm. Let me do this. Would you mind? Actually, no. I'll have your email after this is done. Let me export what I've built here to you so that you can check against it and see if there's anything that's not really lining up.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that would work.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm not exactly sure what the issue is with that.
No, it's okay. This was still super helpful.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I'll get that exported to you. I plan to by the end of today.
Okay, sounds good.
Alrighty. All right, and then with that being said, we have one more question in the queue, which is quick question on the run form step versus add task step. I'm listening.
Hey, Greg. So I know we noticed that the run form step has the assignment stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I know when you do an add task, it has those additional fields, but can you basically turn a regular form step into an assignment? like on the fly if you needed to?
You literally can, yeah.
Okay.
Just by changing that behavior, they're identical to each other. It's just about which
Okay.
behavior they start off on.
I just wanted to check that and just make sure, so if in the, you know, the event of making your flow, you decide, oh, I've got a form here already. I can just turn that into a task if I want to on the fly. I don't have to.
That's
redo
exactly
that
right.
task step.
The moment you drop it to assign, you get the exact same fields.
Gotcha. I figured that was the case. I just wanted to make sure there was no differences. And then I'm curious as to why is there actually two different steps?
You and me both, man. I have no idea.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't, you know, there wasn't something magical about one versus the, you know, the dad task that, you know, I should be wary of, you know.
No, there is not. They function the same. I'll double check her documentation, but I've never once come across something where you couldn't use one instead of the other.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that because that's what I figured. We just kind of, we're talking about that today, just impromptu, and I didn't have a good answer for that. I mean, I have seen the documentation, but I mean, I'm just curious if there's, I was just curious if there was a specific reason why you had a specific add task step, why you wouldn't just turn a run form into an add task. You know,
Yeah, I don't
begin
know.
with.
It was introduced in version 4. Maybe something was different then, you know.
Okay.
And it was last modified 2 versions ago. That would be my guess. I have no evidence to back that up though.
All
And
right.
then let me see the show form. Give me a moment.
It's run form.
Is it run form?
Yeah, it's run form. Oh, is it? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was run. It's show.
No, you're good. Now I'm curious if there is a run form. Hold on.
No, it probably, I'm thinking run flow.
Oh, this is just my own.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. My guess, this again, I've got 2 guesses. One, maybe it was different back then, as far
Yeah.
as the behavior and being able to navigate through it.
Yeah.
It looks like this is how it works now. My other guess is that every single entity that you can call inside of a flow has its own step, right? Like a run rule or run subflow, run truth table. I wonder if show form could have been the default for that, but
Mhm.
then they chose to have an add task step that's more towards the assignment realm of things rather than trying
Yeah.
with the idea of displaying an entity. Again, this is all guesswork. I can
Yeah.
ask, but as far as behavior is concerned, they're the same.
Okay, that's all I wanted to double check, just to make sure that, you know, if we got to where we wanted to convert one to the other, we could just do it without having to bring in another, you know, reconfigure it and whatever. Bring another step.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Sure thing. All right. And with that being said, we have had no new people join. We've had no new questions asked over that time. So I think it's time for us to wrap up today's Lunch and Learn session. Thank you all very much for attending and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. It looks like Jeremy's going to lead that one off. Have a good day, y'all.